Howdy ho, good neighbors. How are you? Off of a long hiatus. This is Phil Russer, Creatorcon Q&A. I am back. I am like that canker sore you can't get rid of. We have a cool guest tonight, and one of the better people that I could have possibly, one of the best people I could have possibly had to come back to the show with. We got two people in a room. We're gonna share this out and give a few seconds for people to come in the room. I just want to remind you, you can also find this on YouTube at Creatorcon Event. Our guest tonight is a really cool dude. I just had a great experience on a fun show with him, kind of competing, but honestly, he's just a good guy. He's about community just like me, so it was a lot of fun. Who's in the room? Shout out, say hello. Please share this out. Let's give my guest some love. He works very hard to put his passion projects out there and get everybody, to see his books, and they're well worth it. So share this out and give us a hand here. And meanwhile, I'm sharing out as well. Anyway, so our guest tonight is a creator, a writer, a very talented person in the indie community. He's had very many successful Kickstarters. He currently has one going on now that ends in 48 hours, and it's really kicking ass. And I'm very happy for him. He's done quite a few projects, but the sole projects he's working on, this world that he's built revolve around classic, horror tropes that he does in a new, fresh way, new, fresh take. And it's this world that he's building, and it's just really great. And I'm excited for him. So without further ado, our guest tonight is writer Alton Simpson. Hey,
what's up?
Let's share this out to a lot of groups. I was trying to multitask.
Okay, who is this guy? He sounds great. Who is this?
Yeah. Oh, and great guitarist too. We forgot to say that. What's up, Angel?
I'm all right. I'm okay.
You know that opening song.
Part words, so.
You know that opening song is mine. I wrote it and I played the drums to it.
I was jamming to it. It was good, man.
Yeah, so you're moving. I was like, all right, he likes it.
It was cool. Very good.
Share this out to a bunch of pages.
Yeah.
So how you doing, man? How's everything going?
Oh, you've been through the Kickstarter grind. It's down to the last 48 hours, and it's been a fun campaign. It's when you look at when you go on the back end and you look at the chart, the chart's continually growing. It stalls out a little bit because of different things, but as long as it's going in that in that direction, that's good. And that's the whole campaign's been going that way. So, I don't have any complaints. Things are going in the right direction.
And you've been growing your fan base as with each campaign, which is obviously all you can ask for. It's hard enough just to get the same people to come back, right. But to get a new fan base on top of that, you've been successful, and I think that's fantastic. Any tips on how you've been able to successfully do this besides just being awesome?
Well, yeah, I've been lucky. I always think is you plan for what you want to do, and then you really try and execute it. And once you do a successful Kickstarter, I did take a comics launch course after I did my first Kickstarter, because I just felt like I got lucky. I was like, I had great artists on here, and they already knew what to do. I had Kara Nicole and Alfred. I had Wendy. I had Wendy Shaner, CB Zane. Steph Wilson. These are people who already had experience, and they kind of schooled me. So it was like going to Kickstarter college. But I felt like myself, I didn't know enough. It was like I got lucky and I had a hit, and what's next? So I took a course to check myself, and you want to be consistent. You want to be consistent as far as preparation before, I like to have my books done. Everything's ready to print before I even start the Kickstarter. So that's like one less thing you have to worry about, because you have enough on your plate. And then, letting people know at least like 2 weeks to a month before that your Kickstarter is coming, to kind of prime the pump. And then on a daily basis, I don't even really look at the numbers anymore. What I know is there's certain things you have to do every day in order for the numbers to go up. And it's like running the bases in baseball or any other, organized way of doing things. Make sure you hit those bases every day, as much as you can. Now, when I started, Facebook was very helpful as far as posting and getting feedback and getting traction. It's a lot less helpful now because, of course, they've changed the algorithm.
Yeah.
And, it favors, I guess it favors big business, because I don't know any small business owners that are having any success. Even when you pay for ads, it seems more difficult to get traction. So, you try and, get the motions going as best you can to keep traffic coming. I use Google Analytics. That helps, because that tells me where the hits for that Kickstarter page come from. If somebody did a search on Google, it'll tell me that. If it's people that are already from my previous Kickstarter, it tells me that. Right now, I think it's like 75 to 80% of my Kickstarter are people that previously backed me or that's found me on Kickstarter. So that's good.
That's a high percentage. Return people, it's not easy.
Yeah, Kickstarter is once you get that base, Kickstarter becomes your main marketing place. And I learned that from Kara and Wendy and CB, in that, they'll go to their previous Kickstarters and do an update of their current Kickstarter to draw those people in. So, little things like that.
It's funny that you say that, because I was just thinking about that earlier. I made that post earlier, and I want to hit all those email people and let them know about the campaign that's coming. Right. Absolutely.
Right. And that helps, because they if they've been with you before, they like your stuff enough to at least take a look at it to see what you're doing new. So, that's like a warm, instead of a cold call, it's a warm call.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It also helps when you have a title you can pronounce, unlike Russell Allen, who's here. He says, look at these clowns. He's got a 55 syllable, with 30 consonants in a row title, but
well, it's unforgettable. You can say that.
That's for sure.
And Russell does brilliant work. So what's up?
Don't
Rick?
give him credit. Rick says, "What's up?"
Yep.
Heather says, "What's up?"
Hey, Heather. Thank you. She's on my team. Thank you, Heather.
Yeah. Greg Johnston says, "What's up?"
What's up, Greg?
Russell says, "What's up?"
Of course.
Dell's tagging a lot of people. Thank you, Dell. It's because I said there's free stuff today.
Yeah.
But that's okay, as long as we got Dell back.
Right. So it's kind of doing this, making sure you try and be consistent. And then, as far as like fulfillment, of course, that's key. Getting people the stuff in a good amount of time.
Fashion. Yep.
If you have problems, letting them know, hey, this is an issue right now, but I'm still working on it. And then closing it out. The fulfillment is just as important as, it's not as much fun as the rest of it, but might be the most important component, because if you deliver, people don't forget. If you F up, then people don't forget. So,
right. See, I'm a weirdo. I'm a very organized person. I could have fun on a Friday night reorganizing a room or files or whatever. My wife thinks I'm nuts. So I like fulfillment. It was fun. Put on music, order some pizza.
Yeah, I enjoyed it the first 2 times, but then you're like, well, I hope my numbers are bigger. And then when your numbers double, or triple, you're like, it doubled and tripled.
Yeah,
it's almost like, okay, so I have to do this now. And then it's another learning process, because you've expanded things. Now you have to be even more efficient with how you're working, how you're shipping, making sure you get things right. It's more details. So
agreed.
It's good and it's challenging. It's never bad.
I do wish Kickstarter was a little friendlier with a printable list of all the backers with their addresses and everything, though. They're really not.
That would be fun. Yes.
It would make it so much easier. Just hit print and boom, I've got my list and I can cross it off, but they're not that easy.
No. No, and actually, during my last, I loved it. I just call it Titan. That'd be, X Titan.
X Titan. Yeah.
But the fulfillment part of my bunny Kickstarter crashed in the middle of me fulfilling it.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, it wouldn't allow me to, like, how you can search, like by reward or whatever.
Yeah.
And then just say, I'm going to do these today. It wouldn't do any of that. So so it was crazy. And then when I clicked, it was done. It didn't say it was done. So I had to start writing down, and I complained. I was like, dude, I literally got halfway through 267 people, and it just stopped working. And I said, dude, you're killing me. You're killing me. So, but they fixed it by the end. But by the end, I had figured out another way.
At that point, you already had to readjust your system.
So the key to all of that is you're going to start out doing one thing, and something's going to go wrong. So you have to prepare mentally to say, okay, if that doesn't work, that seems like it's working. But if it craps out on me, I have to still get this done.
Contingency plan.
Yeah, worst come to worst, go back to paper and pencil. What's up, Charles?
Charles says, what's going on?
Yeah.
Heather, 15 unlocked stretch goals, working towards the 16th and 48 hours to go. And we are definitely going to get into this heavy. Greg was saying, when I browse Kickstarter, that first thumbnail pic needs to pop. It really needs to draw my eye to it. Agreed. And honestly, another thing that a lot of people should be aware, a healthy trailer, a good trailer.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about a snooze trailer where you're just sitting there talking. You've got to show the book. You've got to show graphics. You've got to have some sort of music, which we're going to show a trailer in a few minutes for Witches of Westchester. Really helps drive a campaign. I think for a lot of reasons. Not only does it show the book to get people interested, but it shows your professionalism. If you could put that much into just a campaign page, what are you putting into the book?
Yeah, it represent you're representing it before you give it to people. What's up, Harry? So, it's like your first date. You got to put your best foot forward. If you mess up with that first date, you're not getting a second date. So,
yeah, you got 3 minutes to impress them or turn them away.
Yeah. It's
so tell us,
Heather and Lisa Malone and Heather Ellen. They did my trailer. As long as you're talking about trailers.
Nice. Yeah, Lisa, she narrated it too, didn't she?
Is that her? I think Heather narrated.
Oh, that was Heather narrating. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Perry said, "What's shaking, brother?"
The usual.
So, I mean, I know a lot of people know who you are, but let's go back a little bit before we get into this Kickstarter. Okay. Tell us a little about you and your background with writing and creating, and what you're basically where you started.
Well, I was a filmmaker, or I am a filmmaker. Because most of the comics are just script ideas that I would like to see as movies or TV series on, one of these streaming networks. I took an interest in film around 2003, and literally the guy in the next cube, I was doing mortgages because I have a financial background. The guy in the next cube kept talking about he was shooting a short film. And I was like, well, that sounds interesting compared to what I'm doing over here. And we eventually got together and shot a short film, which didn't turn out the way any of us wanted it to, but I got a taste for that, and I ended up creating a production company, Three Heads Productions, and we did commercials for Comcast. We did short films for the 48-hour film festival in Philadelphia, in New York, and eventually we did a full-length film, Who's Jose Luck, that was in the Philadelphia Independent Film Festival, and it streamed on Amazon Prime for about 4 years, actually.
Very cool.
Yeah. So when I started, I used to hire writers or have other people write. By the time I had gotten to doing the full length film in 2010, I started writing my own stuff because it was hard to get somebody to write on spec. You're trying to communicate what you think to them, and they don't necessarily get the idea. So it just became easier for me to at least be able to script things out, to storyboard, to shoot. And then bring in other writers to help me, make it stronger or more complex. And then by the time I got to comics, I turned that first movie I did into a graphic novel in 2015, but the artwork wasn't great. And I was, trying to figure out exactly what to do with it. It's on Comixology now, and it's kind of a Frank Miller-esque version of my black and white version of my film.
Very cool.
When I was doing my actual working on my doctorate, I would write a bunch and then give it to my committee, and they would throw it out. So I said, you know what? I just want to write something that I don't have to think, oh, it's an independent film. I can't do very much. I'm just going to write, to my heart's content. And that was Vampires in New Jersey. And I posted the idea online, and Mahathir Buang, who drew Silver Surfer for Marvel, saw my idea on Upwork, actually. And he liked it, and he just instantly clicked with it. And he's like, oh, I could do so much with this. And he was all excited, and he storyboarded the first three issues, actually. So he spec'd everything out. He eventually didn't end up drawing a lot, but he helped me design. We worked together to design the So basics for the structure of the I guess we're doing the 8th issue now, started with him. And then I got an artist, Connor Cole, who works for the Mouse House out on the West Coast as an animator. So he's kind of my secret weapon because he's not online and he's not involved in all the comic book stuff. he does, for fun, he works with me. So
See, that's the thing too, though, as a creator, man. I mean, yes, we'll get credit if we write a good book, a good script, good story, but you have to surround yourself with top-notch talent. And talent isn't just how well they can put pen to paper or whatever. It has to do with professionalism. It has to do with um, their ability to communicate and coordinate with you, and just how you gel. And you seem to have done that, which is a part, I think, of your success. That you know how to build a team around you, so which is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, I try. The key with me is, even if you hire somebody, you're still collaborating with them.
Right.
You're working together. Yes, they work because I'm paying them, but you want them to feel invested in what you're doing. And I always found, even with actors, I would write, oh, this guy's a Russian mobster, but I would kind of leave it open to interpretation. I wouldn't give much specs. And one of the guys, Brian Gallagher, he actually was in, I always get the name of this wrong, but the movie that Kevin Hart did with the guy from, he recently did it, where the guy is paraplegic.
Bryan Cranston. Yes, good movie.
The guy started with me in 2010, took off from his day job to do this Russian mobster in Who is Jose Luck, and he ended up doing a scene with Bryan Cranston and Nicole Kidman in that movie. So,
cool.
Yeah. So he grew in that 10-year period to the point where he's working with Oscar nominees and Oscar winners. But the key was with him or whoever I work with, allowing them to put their own spin on what your idea was. And that actually opens up your thinking to, wow, I didn't know I could do that with this character. That opens you up as a writer too. So it's kind of like tennis. It's like back and forth. And, I've heard great tennis players say, when you get that great tennis back and forth, that's what it's all about. So that's what I'm trying to do with my team,
Well, that's that energy that you build, I mean, I'm looking at the roasting that I'm getting from Dell and Russell and them in here. And,
Steph not on there yet.
But Alton, jealousy is an ugly thing when people realize that they're really on a nobody level and they see guys like us on the screen, and so they get jealous and they have to throw shots. I feel for them. I'll pray for them that they become something someday and that they're relevant. So
it's hard at the time.
They're messing with me about my white beard and my white hair, but the fact is, Dell, when you can see your toes, we can talk.
Oh,
I went there. And I'm not telling you if I have pants on or not. That's none of your business unless I stand up, and then it's a totally different show. But anyway, tell us a little about Vampires New Jersey, and then, of course, the subsequent title, Werewolves of Brooklyn, and then we're going to get right into that new title that's out now, this whole world that you're building.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Oh, well, Vampires in New Jersey. I think I was on a film set with Jose Luck, and the guy, one of the actors showed up, and he started telling me, dude, have you seen True Blood? You gotta see this. It's crazy. It's like, wild. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll get to it. Well, I never got to it. And then it went off the air, and then somebody gave me the DVDs, and I'm looking at it. I'm like, wow, this is great. It's Gothic. It's Southern. What would happen if they showed up in Jersey? How would Tony Soprano react? So that was the impetus for Vampires. It was like True Blood versus the Sopranos, Vampires versus the mob. And that was the basis for the first issue. Now, with each subsequent issues, much like a good movie or TV series, I'm trying to ramp it up. So I would introduce different factions into the groups battling for supremacy. So I introduced, I think, probably Werewolves of Brooklyn first. And Werewolves of Brooklyn they're kind of like a biker crew that you would hire to do a job, whatever that job is. They don't even care. They just happen to be werewolves.
Right. Cool.
So it's been described to me. I think the first issue of that came out in 2019, just before COVID. And it's been described to me as Sons of Anarchy meets the Howling. So
nice.
It's like a mix of those two.
Nice.
And then I think at issue 5 or 6, I had a shadowy group that's been trying to manipulate things, bring in the Witches of Westchester in order to cast, some type of spell in order to get some changes to happen. And that's where I kind of introduced them. And I wanted to do a spinoff of that, but with Witches of Westchester, I wanted it to be different. So it is some witches who are in college that are being trained by a professor witch. But the key to the series is that I looked up Westchester as a town throughout history, and there's a huge amount of Westchesters, like all over the place. There's like Worcestershire in England, all over the place. So the story actually takes the town, and there are witches in each town throughout history, and they're all connected. So something might happen in 1800s in the Westchester of England that affects 1932 Westchester, New York, that affects, current day Westchester, where the current witches are. And they all kind of have to work together in order to solve things and do different types of things.
Now, currently, are each issue their standalone stories, or are they actually bleeding, for pun intended, into the other titles, or will they do that in the future?
Yeah, what I do is each series is standalone, but I leave it open to, different characters from different parts of my shared comic universe to come in. So, but I want to establish their sector of that group first. So I would say I probably do like three or four issues, before I introduce other characters. Just to
now, is there a possibility of this huge crossover event like comics like to do at some point with all
yeah,
these?
actually, Vampires 10. I haven't written it yet. I've written 9 issues, but Vampires 10 will be the end of that volume. And I'm looking to do an endgame type of thing where I bring everybody in. So
Are these all going to be continuing, ongoing series, or do you have a finite, plan?
I plan 10 for each series, because right now with Bunny it'll be 5 series. So that seems enough to keep me busy for a while. I know with Vampires in New Jersey, the point of the Vampires in New Jersey is the lead character has been bitten. I'll give that much away. And he's vacillating between, is he going to turn into a vampire or not, for most of the issues. That's kind of the main impetus, because there's groups looking for him to take control and come to power, but it's like, is he or is he not? It's kind of like a Hamlet thing. So that'll be decided in Vampires 10, and then I'll decide what the next volume would be, if people want
Nice.
it. And so far, the stores that it's sold out in, they like more issues. Once something sells out, they're like, yeah, we want more. So.
And how do you feel about fans like Russell Allen who make the pages of Bunny Goes to Space sticky?
Well, believe it or not, Bunny was designed to titillate. Can I say that?
Yeah.
I saw that a lot of the lead characters on Kickstarter were female, and I said, well, I need to design a character specifically for Kickstarter, because in a way, if you're already doing a story and you put it on Kickstarter, the dynamics of Kickstarter. I didn't want to feel like I'm shoving a square peg in a round hole,
Right.
so to speak. So I designed Bunny specifically for the Kickstarter fan. And the comic is actually coming out that way. It's more adult, and it's not gratuitous, but it is more entertaining in an adult way.
Now, do you feel that the success of Bunny helps you with your fan base coming over to Witches of Westchester as well? Do you think that helped grow your fan base?
Yeah, I mean, I literally had new fans with Bunny that were like, whatever you do, I want to take a look at. You do it, I buy it. I mean, so, and I appreciate that. I mean, I take that very seriously, that somebody's interested because of Bunny in my other things. That's really kind of them. They don't have to, I mean, some people only read Superman. I love Superman or Batman. Batman's probably,
Right.
Oh, I love Batman. Oh, I don't care. It could be any part of the Batman family. I'll follow. But Green Lantern, no.
Right.
Green Arrow, I'm not going to read that. So for somebody,
No, Titan, no. Yeah, exactly.
So for somebody to say they're interested in my other titles or whatever else I do, it's nice. And it seems like, plus with me, with the Kickstarters, I always tell them when I finish a Kickstarter, I usually have stuff left over from that Kickstarter. So I usually say to them, look, if you backed me before, when you back me again, if there's something from the other Kickstarters, you know, like I'll have Steph Wilson fans. Well, I have some Steph stuff left over from Vampires 7. You know, if you want it, you know, that I'll give you a extra reward because you're loyal, you know, loyalty reward, I guess, or whatever. So I try and cultivate that as I go. And then if you look at my comments for Witches, they're saying, hey, I backed Bunny. I just want to let you know, and I'm backing this. So, you know, it's like a nice community growing.
Well, you invest in them, they invest in you, and everybody's getting what they want. Everybody's happy. And like you said, it's a community that grows, you know? I mean,
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, that's what we're trying to do,
right?
You know, build the connection directly with the fans, and that's really important. You know,
agreed. I mean, you know, as long as you don't get to the level of begging like Russell, but you know, because it gets pathetic. It really does.
Begging a little bit. So
please, 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 somebody pronounce my title right, please. You know, Steph, draw something, save me. Hey, where is that Steph chick? She's not here.
I'm shocked.
She's not here. Where is she? Wow.
Usually makes an appearance.
Yeah, she usually comes in, heckles me, and leaves. I don't know.
It's not over yet, so.
Yeah, right. That's for sure. All right. So right now you've got Witches of Westchester, which we discussed a little bit. We're going to go into more detail. I'm going to pop up the campaign and we're going to talk about it. Mm-hmm. We can start off by showing the trailer if you like, and I'm going to make this bigger if you don't mind, because as pretty as we are, we're just making Russell and them jealous anyway. So we want to get eyes on this.
Thank you.
Boobies and nipples. Anyway.
That's CB's name, baby. He delivers.
By the way, I just want to say, through the Russell Allen auction, I got a CB Zane Kitty Pryde, which is really awesome. He's an excellent artist. I mean, I don't really interact with him. I know him. I know who he is. I don't know if he knows who I am. We're friends, but we don't interact. But he's really talented.
Yeah, he's a nice guy, too.
Yeah, he seems it. And Russell. Anyway, you're reaching, Russell. You're reaching, but your arms are too short. So we're going to go with the trailer now, and we're going to show you why you need to back Witches of Westchester. Are you ready? Here we go.
Thanks.
Want to hear it? Here goes.
Think Buffy meets The Craft, with Evil Dead thrown in. Meet the Witches of Westchester. The art book and the first issue of the comic book is now available on Kickstarter. Witches of Westchester is part of Alton Simpson's shared universe comic series, with art by C.B. Zane, Lance Footer, Wendy Steen-Shaner, Trevor Grace, Axe Bone, Gregorio Lagarino, Sean Howe, Steph Wilson, Carrie Ann, April Grady Reyna, and UK model Asia Miriam. Get both our nice and naughty covers now. Check out the Kickstarter today.
Very cool. So before we get into the campaign, first I want to say when you see a big booby drawing and the guy's name is Axe Bone, I just have to giggle like a kid. The second thing I have to say,
Axe is hilarious. I never know what he's going to do, but it's always like insanely wild, you know.
Well, the other thing is, by the way, great voiceover by Heather Ellen, who is in the chat right now. Great job. And Lisa Malone, who did the video.
Thank you.
And they work hard behind the scenes. And Heather Ellen also does a lot to try to promote and push. So kudos and thank you to Heather.
Thank you,
Heather. I don't want this to sound the wrong way, but there's an indie community, and I understand budgets are tight. There's some creators that they just hire an artist, whatever they can afford. And sometimes the art isn't maybe ready yet, if that's the best way to put it. But you obviously understand that this is an aesthetic medium. And whether you write well or not, the first thing that is going to push a book is, what does it look like? And you do get top-notch art talent, which I commend you for, because that is so important. Because there are books that are acclaimed to be great books, but when I look at the interior art, I'm like, I can't get through this. I can't, I'll read a novel, but I can't read this.
Right.
Image is a testament to that. The writing wasn't great, but they were so beautiful, you read them anyway.
Right.
Obviously, you'd like a nice fine balance, which you have. Great writing, great art. And I think, I know it sounds silly, but that's really the key to success. The marriage of the two. So good job on that.
Yeah, I try. It's, as a writer, you want people to read what you write. But then I thought with Bunny, I said, well, I don't even know if this character is going to work. I'll do an art book. And an art book is about the art. It's not about anything I've written.
Right.
I wrote the description of Bunny and like a basic, introduction plot line wise, so people could get an idea of what I was thinking. But I didn't write anything for that art book. And that, that's the most successful Kickstarter, I've done. So,
cool.
Sometimes you kind of have to take a back seat to the illustration, but you're right. In the perfect world, you want a nice mix of a strong story with brilliant artwork. And, I've been lucky to work with some really, really good artists. So hopefully they'll continue to let me work with them.
And the other thing is, as a creator, you have to be able to match your art style with the story you're telling. It has to match, you could easily be at a place with, like if you had a cartoon style artist who's really good, but if that's how you do Vampires in New Jersey, that's just not working.
Yeah. I tested a good number of artists before I settled on Connor, and we're up to the 8th or 9th issue, and he just gets it. I can, because I write scripts. I write it on a Word document like a script.
So do I.
I'll describe the scene and then do the dialogue. And early on, it was kind of like bumpy because we were getting to know each other. And then the comic started selling in stores, and it was flying out of there. And he's like, by the 5th issue, he's like, "Do you want me to change anything?" He starts to experiment more. And I was like, "Dude, whatever you're doing." The store owners look at the book and they tell me they like the art really fits the story. It's like hand in glove, and they love it. So let's just keep doing whatever we're doing. When Kevin Smith looked at the graphic novel up at Jay and Silent Bob's, when I went to thank him for putting the book in the store, he's like, "Wow, this artwork is phenomenal. Who's this guy?" He was waiting for me to whip out a big name, and he liked it so much he was even offering to get him some stores on the West Coast where Kevin lives. He was going to hook us up with stores so my buddy out in the West Coast could do signings. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and Kevin Smith doesn't have to do that for Al Simpson. You know what I mean? So,
maybe he could look to produce yours as a Netflix show.
I didn't pitch him. I went just to thank him because literally, Phil, if you want to put your book in Jay and Silent Bob's, Mike will take a look at it.
I plan on it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll do it, and they don't put it in the back. You're not in the independent comic ghetto.
I heard he cares about indie books, that he really tries to highlight you.
He put Vampires right next to Marvel and DC and Image, and it sold out, multiple times, multiple issues.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was just talking to someone about it earlier today. I'm like, comic shops take a chance and they just put your book out there. They usually don't put it in a prime spot, or they don't talk up the book at all. Now, is it their job to talk it up? Yes and no. Do you want to make money? So, luckily I've been selling pretty well myself, but if you're not selling well, it's because people don't know it's there or they don't know about it. What if you just, as a store owner, gave it a little bit of love and talked to your people about it? maybe you'd be surprised to see the bump up in sales. I mean, to just throw it on a shelf and then say, well, it didn't sell. Well, what did you do to help it sell? You got to sell it.
Yeah.
So, in October, I plan on going to Jersey, actually, and going into a bunch of stores.
Well, I got some stores for you, so just let me know when you're here.
Thank you.
That's not a problem.
And Russell was kind enough to drop the link a couple of times on this Kickstarter, and, of course, drop it at the end as well, please. Yeah. So, look.
The store has done well in, though, Phil, just to put a nail on that last point. They did care enough to present the comic in a professional way.
Nice.
And that helps sell the comic. Some more than others. Some, I have a personal connection with because they either like me or they like the comic. And of course, that helps sell the comic easier. Makes it easier for them. Other stores that I've sold out in, I mean, I know with Mike at Jay and Silent Bob's, maybe they didn't talk it up. They just put it in a great spot so that it could be seen quality-wise with the other well-known comic makers, and that was enough. Right. So it's a combination of things. It's like your product has to be professional enough to get attention just sitting next to the other comics. Right. The other part is, yes, it would be nice if the local comic bookstore owner, gave you a little bit of love and talked about it or presented a certain way. And I usually tell them it's a partnership between me and you. We're working together. So back when Facebook was more effective, I would run a 3-day Facebook ad once my book got in that store around, New Comic Book Day to get a little bit of foot traffic. And lo and behold, back then I used to get foot traffic.
Right.
And they were like, yeah, people came in, they're asking for your book. So yeah, it can be done, successfully with a little support, That's it.
Well, I guess then my offer of a stick figure variant is out because it probably wouldn't hold up next to a Marvel book. Well, actually, some of the art these days, maybe it would. But anyway, I will let you know, Heather, when I'm going over there. It's going to be in October, the week after New York Comic Con, probably, if not right before.
Cool.
So let's take a look. 285 backers. No small feat, man. That's a great number. 47 hours to go. Usually you get that big push in the last 2 days, so let's do this. Hey, Wendy, how are you? Thanks for coming out.
Hello, Wendy.
$15,818. I want to make this very clear to everybody. I do this all the time. Some people look and they say, oh, $15,000. That's great. The guy's rolling dough. He doesn't need my money. Be clear. We always want eyes on the books. We always want you reading the books first and foremost. That's how we grow a fan. So don't ever think that even your $6 or $8 PDF contribution is unnecessary, because it's all necessary. The other thing I want to let you know is $15,000 by the time Kickstarter takes out its percentage, and you've paid for print runs, because when you have 285 backers and they're buying multiple books, not just one per backer, that's a very expensive print run. And and then shipping is part of that $15,000. So you've got to keep that in mind. There's going to be several $1,000s taken out for shipping. That money is not going as far as you think it is. And then whatever he does have left is either going to go into a second print run or into the next book. So don't ever look at a number and think, oh, they're set, they're good. Always support and back. Always. Because the more money you throw into the indie community, the more the community is just going to grow and flourish and provide more talent and better books and more, beautiful art. I mean, it's like any other industry. If you don't throw money into the industry and have it circulate, it dies. Yeah. And we're in a renaissance right now where the mainstream stuff is really not that great. It's regurgitated crap. And you're getting some good original ideas out of the indie community. So reward them. So I want to see some pledges before we end tonight on this campaign, period. Or I will find you and I will stand next to you and point in your face and go, I'm not touching you for 3 hours straight. Anyway.
Thanks, Phil.
Green button right here. Back this project. That's all you have to do. Click it. Pick your tier. If there's add-ons you want, go for it, because he's got a lot going on. Wendy back. Cool.
Thank you,
let's
Wendy.
check it out. Tell us about it, my friend. Here we go.
Well, let's see. Of course, Wendy Steen Shaner has a witch on there. Her artwork is so incredible. my roommate from college keeps asking me to introduce him to the models.
Hmm.
I have to explain to him that you know, they're not actual people. But Wendy, he doesn't believe me. But Wendy, he thinks I'm keeping them to myself. But Wendy's work is just so brilliant. You know, she brings amazing energy to her artwork. As we mentioned, let me look here. Well, Axe, amazing. Steph is always Steph. Him and Carrie
Yeah.
Ann do brilliant work.
Wait a minute.
And
How'd you get a background out of him? That's insane.
I actually started planning way ahead, and I know I was talking about this project when I was finishing Bunny, probably when I was about halfway through. So I give people a lot, you know, I try and give them as much time as possible so they can,
Yeah, but he doesn't do backgrounds. He hates backgrounds.
yeah, so they can come up with something different. But it's up to them. I mean, I don't direct them. I just kind of tell them, yeah, I'm doing this,
Right.
and these are the characters, and here's some background on the characters. April, of course, down there in the corner. She did all the characters. She's very ambitious. Beautiful work. I actually think that'll be my in-store cover with the logo,
Nice.
because it has everybody on it and it's just kick-ass. Keith Garvey is right next to her there. We haven't talked about Keith a lot.
Yeah, that's some really tight lines. Nice work.
Yeah, very beautiful. Of course, next to Keith is
CB Zane.
my ringer, CB Zane. CB always gets it and puts some different spin on it. And we don't talk much, but like even with Bunny, he did like the most iconic image that just drew everybody in. So, you know,
Wendy's absolutely right. He leaves it for Carrie Ann. You're damn right he does.
that's what I was
Bum.
thinking. I was going to say that, but I didn't know. I was like,
Yeah.
that type of work is so brilliant. It seems like Carrie Ann did that, but
And he's not even here to get zinged. What the
but I
hell?
love Steph. I mean, I met Steph, you know, at the beginning of his rise to fame and fortune here. And I didn't even know, you know, he was brand new to things. And I met him at a tiny con at the Jersey Shore in like January, February. Carrie Ann was there too.
And she is amazing. Carrie Ann is
Yeah.
awesome.
And I met him and I was like, and he showed me his artwork and he's like, you know, I was like, well, can you do a cover? And he's like, yeah, I'd love to. And then later on, you know, like 3 months later, you know, I come on Facebook and I'm joining all these groups and I'm looking, I'm like, this Steph Wilson guy is everywhere. He's all over the place. So, and then he told me, Al, you're the first person to hire me. And I was like, that's incredible that you started doing all that work. And by the time he got to actually doing my cover, he had, you know, done so much more. So I really got lucky. I've gotten lucky with almost everybody. The model I used this time was Asia Miriam, who's I was just going through Instagram thinking, I want these witches to be very fashionable and have like their own sense of style. And I saw her and I was like, wow, that's like what I would want the witches to look like, you know, like as far as style. But I'm looking, I'm like, well, she's got to be like a big professional model. She's in London and all her pictures, like every day she's like really, really doing a lot of different changes of clothes, you know, like a regular person doesn't have money to do that. I'm like, how's she doing it? So I struck up a conversation with her. I told her about the comic and she got excited about it and did a bunch of pictures for the variant cover. She's really nice. But she, you know, she's not really per se a cosplay. I mean, I think that's just her style. So
Nice.
yeah, so I got lucky there too. Very kind people you know, that I've been able to collaborate with. You know?
Well, some say luck is the position you put yourself in.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So this is a 30 full color page story. Very cool graphics. Lisa set up the page, right?
Yeah. No. I actually use Russ for that.
Oh, Russ Cassidy?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. He I heard about his work with everybody else and
Me included.
and Lisa recommended, and we've collaborated a lot. With me, I kind of wanted to keep the same feel as the previous campaign because people seem to like comfortable with it.
Right.
So we kind of worked, and then he had some ideas that he had used on other campaigns, and it all came together very well. Bob Heron is the interior artist, and he actually does also do a cover.
Very cool.
And he's a new guy that I started working with, I think, on Vampires 7. And
Just to show some people here what you've got going on.
Yeah.
By the way,
Bob's
Russ
really-
Cassidy can color like a mofo. My God,
Yeah, that's
is he
the other
good.
thing. He told me what he does, and I'm like, well, I want to work with you on that too.
He can color his ass off, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God, and he's so affordable.
Yeah, very talented.
Oh yeah.
Talented. So, yeah, I've fallen into some good stuff,
So we're here on some of the stretch goals. If you want to tell us, you've unlocked quite a bit of them, because you've done so well.
Yeah, people really like them. I mean, I literally had a guy last time who bought my top tier. And, with the top tier, you're like, oh, I'm super nervous. It's like every comic and every print. I want to make sure it's perfect. I don't want to make this guy unhappy. He gets everything. And then, he emails me. He's like, everything is fantastic, but you left out the stretch goals. So that's very important to people. They like the stretch goals, they're really important. So
absolutely,
you want to make them cool. And usually when they come in, I'm all excited about them because it's like Christmas. It's like, wow, this is really different.
I know, right? It's so cool when it comes in. It's like, oh, they're here. Yeah. Perry, yeah, he works with Murat on a lot of stuff, and you're right. And he, Rush just wrote a story with Chris Graves, by the way, who's an artist I represent for Naughty and Nice, the Halloween special. So
nice,
very cool. So you've unlocked what, 16? Heather said 16 stretch goals. That's a lot of printing.
Yeah, I did that last time because I hit 17.3 last time for this.
Nice.
And then on Indiegogo I did another 2.
Very nice.
So.
And we got the Gregorio Lagarino, is that how you pronounce it? Mini print coming up. And how many are we away from that? It's at 16,000, right? And you are currently, why is it doing it this way? Oh, man, you're $182 away from unlocking the next stretch goal. So, people, what are you waiting for? Let's go. Let's get some pledges here.
Yeah,
come on.
Hopefully the numbers start popping. But yeah, the last 2 days are usually a roller coaster. So we'll see what happens.
So when you said the stretch goals are magical. All right, so 15 unlocked, not far from 16. Thanks, Heather.
Yeah.
So you can get the digital book. Again, this is 30 pages, guys. This isn't, a regular. If you think, people don't realize when you get a Marvel or DC book, it's 21 pages with 4 pages of ads. So it's really a 17-page story that you're spending $5-6 on.
Yeah, it's gotten smaller and smaller over the years because they put more and more advertising, just like TV. There's more commercials. I'll literally watch an old show like the Rockford Files, and I started noticing they put less commercials in back in the, previously decades.
Right.
So there's a reason why it feels like an old show is a quality thing. You actually got more media, there's more of it. So even a half-hour sitcom today, you're only seeing probably
16 minutes
of an actual sitcom. So it's that matters. And my stuff, I haven't put any ads in there. There might be on the cover, on the back cover, like an ad for my other comic, but the inside is straight through, the meat's there. It's all, there's no filler. So.
And that's what I'm saying. 30 full pages of story, guys. That's almost double what you would get from Marvel and DC. I mean, if you think about it, it's 4 pages short of a double-sized issue. Think about that. So you're getting more bang for your buck.
Yeah, we got to deliver.
So you got the PDFs with the different covers, which is great. Not everybody thinks about doing that. And then you get the physical copies, of course.
Right.
We'll scroll through these a little bit because we want to, get to the bigger tiers. But there's the Asia Miriam.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool. Look at her eyes. Creepy.
Yeah, she's I gave her a few ideas and she ran with it, So
April Reyna, like you said, that'll probably be the studio cover.
yeah.
You have an art book, so you get a physical copy of the art book,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure you'll have a tier of the comic and the art book, which is cool. Yeah, the different variant covers.
Mm-hmm. And Sean Howe, he's another new artist I work with.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
There's CB again.
Yep.
Keith Carr. I think this is my favorite, not because of the boobs and all that, but just the lines are so damn clean. It looks, that's pretty impressive.
Yep.
I like CB's a lot too. I mean, I like them all. April's is great too.
For different reasons, each one stands out in its own way. That's pretty much what I like about the artists I work with. Everybody brings their own spin to it, and it's all very cool. And it adds to the mystique of the actual book or the actual characters.
Now let me ask you. People were overwhelmed by how many covers I had on my Kickstarter, and people, they weren't complaining per se, but they were making mention. But I see guys like you and everybody have tons of different tiers and stuff, and everything's fine. It's like I was surprised that I got kind of a lot of the comments.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, I did the first Kickstarter and I had like Wendy designed it and I had a lot, stuff, different things. And I was like, okay, well, it seems too complicated. I'm going to, water it down a little bit so it's easier to understand. And the second Kickstarter, people were literally complaining to me, why isn't this like the previous one? So I was like, okay, they want that extra thing. Now, back then, a year and a half ago, they didn't have the add-on feature. So they kind of had to just say, oh, Al, add this on. I'm going to add more money to my thing. So then when the add-on feature came last time, I was working with Lisa and we were just like, well, okay, people keep requesting. So we kept adding. So the add-on thing for mine looks ridiculous because it's literally like
everything.
It's 50 rewards kind of, or 50 things and then 50 add-ons. I mean, the complexity is crazy, but people that buy my stuff like to mix and match everything. And they like the feeling, even if they don't get, everything, they like the feeling that, hey, I could get this cover, this t-shirt, and this print, and I don't mind mailing it to them that way. I've gotten better at mailing. I use pirate shipping now for outside of the US. And it seems, as of now, within the budget. And
how are you dealing with international? Because the shipping rates are just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they're so ridiculous.
Yeah, I'll talk to you about pirate shipping after the air. But Wendy,
I'm using it. Okay. And it is helping.
Yeah,
but still, like $21 to go to Canada, which is an 8-hour ride.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous.
For you, you could throw it over a fence. But yeah, you're right. It's ridiculous. But the only people I really get blowback from is Australia. Depending on what you buy. I mean, if you buy a ton of stuff and it's going to Australia, it's going to cost you a lot.
Right.
And I had a guy complaining, and I literally went and showed him what the costs were. I cut and paste, and I took pictures of them and sent them to him. I said, dude, I'm not making a dime off of this. I'll send it to you exactly for what the shipping is, but the shipping is outrageous.
Yeah. And people don't forget, I also have to pay for Gemini. I have to pay for tape. I have to pay for bags and boards. I mean, it's not just what the post office charges me. It's the materials.
Yeah, that's where my wife comes in. She constantly tells me that. There's another cost for this. You got to remember, it's not just this.
Yeah, you 10%. I mean, you could get like 50 cents a Gemini, but then it's also bags and boards or another. You're up to an extra $1 just on that, and then tape.
Yep.
So you have to consider all that, especially if you want your stuff to come safe.
Yes, you do.
So you have foils also, which are lava foils, which are awesome. I just started doing them at the Indiegogo, and they're fantastic.
Yeah, they come out really nice too.
Yeah, you've got the shirt.
Yeah, I've been wearing that logo around, and people were asking for it, so we put it up.
Now, who did the logo?
I actually have a guy. I think he's in Brazil. He did the original comic for me, but his artwork was kind of questionable. My first, when I did that Who is Jose Luck comic.
Yeah.
But then I asked him if he could do a logo, and every single logo you've seen for every one of my books, same guy. I give him an idea. He does like 5 to 10 logos, and I usually post them on my Facebook and let people vote on them.
Yeah,
So,
I see that all the time. Very cool.
yeah, so for Witches, I did that logo like 2 years ago because it just popped up. And
Nice.
I usually start with the logo because I like the idea of the logo. You know, it's almost like you create the bat signal and then that drives you creating
Right.
Batman. You know?
Well, you have to remember that logo is going to be the premier representation of whatever the project is at this point. It's
Right.
going to be what's plastered on the cover, on designs, everywhere.
Yeah.
So if you don't love it and if it doesn't represent properly, then you're already off to a bad start.
Yeah, I usually start with the logo, and that inspires me to create, more.
Cool. We'll pass this. This is kind of, amateur hour, but whatever. Then you have the naughty covers.
Mm-hmm.
All right, easy, Russell. I don't know if you're still here, but, I hear banging under the table. Easy, Russell. Easy, easy. Down, boy, down. So we got the naughties and naughties in foil.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good one. Kind of makes you kind of like the Scooby Gang.
Yeah.
Or like
Yeah.
like you said, Buffy the Vampire Slayer gang,
Yeah, Lance is another one that I just bumped into on Facebook and Instagram, and he's really brilliant in that. In the time I've known him, his artwork gets more and more complex and beautiful.
Nice.
And he's constantly experimenting and pushing himself to try and come up. And he's actually legally blind.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I think his studio is Low Vision Studio.
Oh, wow.
But his work consistently gets better and better and better. Like more interesting to me.
Right.
He's always been great, but just more interesting. So, yeah, I usually tell him like 6 months ahead of time or 4 or 5 months ahead of time what I'm doing, and he plays around with ideas, and that's one that he came up with. Because he literally told me he likes drawing witch. That's one of his favorite things to do. So,
yeah, I like this a lot. Very cool.
Yeah, I sent him the description.
I like the vibe from that.
That's what he came up with. Yeah.
This is a nice one too.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah.
The moon is out twice.
Here you go.
There's the Garvey. There's that crappy one again. Okay. I kid. Steph's awesome.
I know.
I had this. I met Lance a few years ago at a local con. Really awesome guy.
Yeah.
Very cool. Oh, and you even have the Asian Miriam in foil. Very cool. I wonder how foil looks with a real person. Photography.
I did it with Kara, and it was incredible. I actually just sent her and Alfred some comps, and I said, well, these foils are just too beautiful not to send. You know what I mean? They have to see. They come out really well.
Wendy's cover, the naughty version, very cool. Mm-hmm. And April, and Axe Bone, Mr. Bone. I don't know. I can't.
He's the best.
I'm just a child.
No, Axe is like in a playpen with art. As soon as I give him an idea, it's just incredible what he comes up with.
And Gwen, she's really talented colorist and a very sweet person.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Foil, Steph Wilson. Yeah, foils are expensive to print too. Jeez.
Yeah, I know.
Wow, people don't realize that. I just recently mentioned how, and I know, should I do a separate campaign for an art book and stuff or not? And people are just added on as a tier, and I thought about it. It adds to prices though. It makes your goal have to go up a little. It does, and it gets convoluted with a campaign. So I think I might do it as an individual campaign with the director's cut, just because it makes it less convoluted. Especially if you issue 1, issue 2, director's cut, art book, and then what am I printing out of the yin yang?
Yeah.
So shared universe collection. This is the way to go, guys. Look at this. If you haven't already, to catch up, you get the collection of everything.
I had people were adding to their pledges to get the other comics. So I just said, maybe I should just add it.
Now, is Blackjack part of this universe, or it's part of your comic world, your publishing company?
He's part of the universe. He's the superhero styled character I did, but I didn't want to do capes and cowls because that's been done enough.
Right.
So he's like a grounded science fiction based superhero whose powers change without his control.
Cool.
So it's kind of like X-Files meets Unbreakable.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely what I'm going to want to do. Steph Wilson Super Pack. I'd probably call it the Carrie Ann Super Pack. He did a few pencils. She did the background, the colors, the inks. But anyway,
yeah.
So cool. And you get the shirt. Actually, off screen, I want to talk to you about shirts and some other things, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Pick your brain.
Sure. Yeah.
And then you get the CB Zane. And then, of course, the Witches Brew Pack. All the regular covers.
That was another request, actually. A lot of these people just say, I want to buy this. And then we go, okay, I guess we'll create that.
Well, what's the worst that happens if nobody buys off of it? It's you learn. It's kind of doing a test, you're testing the market.
Yep.
300, you get all the regular and foil covers. There you go. Very cool. 500, Sorcerer Supreme. Look at that. Prints of each cover, plus 2 t-shirts. Very nice. Get a his and hers, guys. And gals. For 800, the Ultimate Witch Hunt. This tier includes all of the regular and naughty covers in foil. All of the cover art in 11x17 foil art prints. Very nice. 2 t-shirts. Vampires of Jersey 1 through 7. Werewolves of Brooklyn 1. Blackjack 1 through 3. Plus the digital and all unlocked stretch goals. I mean, wow. There you go, guys. Don't waste your time trying to go through it and pick. Just boom, go right to the last one, hit that button, and do it.
Yeah. Get it all.
And then you got add-ons.
Yeah,
of course, 11x17 prints, t-shirts, you name it. You get pictures of Russell Allen punching himself in the pants. You know what I do like about Kickstarter too? It'll automatically, without you refreshing, show the increase in numbers and pledges when you hear. Where Indiegogo, you have to keep refreshing.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. Where are the campaign donations here? Let's go. Let's back this. Let's pledge.
It's all right, man. I'll get there.
So, now, did you do 7 campaigns for the Vampires of Jersey?
No, I was up to issue 5 when I got convinced by some fans to do, actually Heather, to do the Kickstarter.
Okay. So you did like a 5-issue catch-up campaign for the first 5?
Yeah, they were like, oh, we want more people into your comic. We really like your comic. You ought to try this. And I was like, I did an Indiegogo last year and it crashed and burned after 3 days. I mean, I was horrible at it. And that's when they said, well, you need to connect with these other artists and then that'll introduce you to the online indie community. And they were right. It worked out.
Well, one thing I did notice about Kickstarter, and don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Indiegogo by any means.
Mm-hmm.
Kickstarter, I noticed that I got a lot of attention on Kickstarter itself. Like, it bumped me up higher. Right. And people saw it just going on Kickstarter and a quick search and like, oh, what's this? Right. Where Indiegogo, even though I was funding at 300-something%, I was buried.
Yeah.
I was way down there. Yeah. And I think they go by dollar value, not percentage. I was told they go by percentage of how you go over your goal, but I think it's dollar value because there were people that, their percentage was low, but their dollar value was high because their goal was high. Right. And they're up on the top. I mean, how do you compete with that? I'm not Brian Polito. I'm not Billy Tucci. I'm not making those numbers.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's hard for me to say. I know when I did the Indiegogo, mine was like bizarre because my Kickstarter for Bunny stopped taking money. And people were emailing me angry emails like, dude, I'm trying to buy your stuff and Kickstarter won't let me buy it. So Lisa, in her brilliance, was like, let's just throw it up on Indiegogo, because I had an Indiegogo account from my other failed campaign. So she, in one day, took everything we had on Kickstarter and threw it up on Indiegogo. And I just put a link to Indiegogo in the update, and people went to Indiegogo. So then the numbers took
Nice.
off there. So it was kind of like the
And that's
runoff.
good, because you need to send Kickstarter a message, because that's happened before to people in campaigns, and it's hurting your campaign, and they don't add your time back.
Yeah. Well, Russ, I give the credit to Russell Allen. He videotaped himself trying to buy something and it not working, and sent it to Kickstarter Technical, because I was telling them and they weren't believing me. And when they saw it, they fixed it quicker.
Because it was happening to a lot of people, I remember.
Yeah. I know, but nobody was really talking about it until I said, this is happening to me. Then like a bunch of people were like, yeah, it happened to me too. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know this could even happen. You know, it's heartbreaking when your campaign's doing pretty well and all of a sudden, you know, the money can't come in.
It can derail you, yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is people will hold you accountable even though it's not your fault. Yeah.
Yeah, I try to tell them that, but you know, once I had that Indiegogo as a valve to let the pressure off, it helped a lot, you know. And then I kept it open as a in-demand store.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I'm in demand right now.
Which was nice. You know, people were like, I still want to get, you know, your stuff. I'm sorry I missed the Kickstarter. And I was like, well, there you go. Just go over there and pick out whatever you want.
But I think, well, you know, Greg says that Kickstarter is easier to navigate. And I guess that's all relative to which one you start on first, though. You know, some people find Indiegogo easier. But again, I think it really just boils down to Kickstarter promotes its own projects more than Indiegogo does, I think. At least smaller people get more eyes on it, because, you know, Kickstarter shows you in the back or the dashboard where you're getting your views and your pledges from.
Yeah.
And I had a good percentage that were people just scrolling through Kickstarter looking at stuff.
Yeah, it seems
Indiegogo,
like
I didn't get that.
Yeah, there's traffic, but they allow you to be seen by the traffic so that you can get some traction. And that's a big difference.
I mean, and you're looking at a difference of what,
Kickstarter is huge. I mean, you know, it's not like you're on I-95 and you're like one signpost. You know what I mean? If you're getting people to go into what you're doing, you're being shown significantly to stand out, because there's a lot of stuff on there, you know. So rather than one little stop sign, it's a billboard, you know what I mean? But at least it's being seen. You know?
Hey, look, it's Fire Marshal Bill.
How's it going?
What's going on, Joe? He's out there fighting fires. Joe, drop your Comics Cast links. Everybody drop your links. Heather, drop your links. So look, I'm excited about reading these books, to be honest with you. I wasn't an indie guy because when I was growing up, indie really wasn't that good.
Right.
It just wasn't.
Yeah.
Oh, you're home? All right, cool. Well, now he's moving. When are you not moving, brother? But, you know, mainstream started turning me off, and I just started noticing the quality of indie is growing. You are one of those people that is bringing credibility to the indie community, not just by your professionalism and your attitude, but your projects, you know, your product, what you're putting out there is professional level. It belongs on the rack with the pros because it's there, and people need to understand that, and they need to support and put money in this industry, in the indie community. You know, and it starts with a campaign like yours. So guys, seriously, you have to, it is on fire right now. You know, we got to support, guys. Let's listen. I say this all the time. You sit there and you complain. There's nothing new. It's the same regurgitated shit. Blah, 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 blah. They made Robin gay. I hate it. Blah, blah, blah. Right? You say all that shit. And then you spend $8 on a Starbucks coffee that you piss out in 10 minutes and they didn't even spell your freaking name right on the cup. But you won't throw $10 at this comic book. I don't understand it.
Well, people are programmed to kind of like the same stuff, you know, over and over. And it's hard to break out of that rut because you're comfortable. You know, I love Batman too. I mean, it isn't that when I'm at a convention, I don't love, you know, all the previous characters, but I'm also excited by the new stuff I see when I'm in an artist alley and just walking around like, wow, I never thought of that. Wow, that's cool. That's interesting. It literally is stuff that Marvel and DC used to do before artists figured out that if you create something for them, you lose it. That's why we haven't had any new breakthrough characters in 20 years or however long it's been. Nobody wants to give the corporation more of their blood, sweat, and tears.
Right.
So, but the indie places where people can thrive and be creative and try out things, and
because they're slaves to their shareholders, and they're
go ahead. I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
Yeah, they're slaves to their shareholders, and they're afraid to take risks.
Well,
and that's another aspect. What do we have to lose? Let's just throw it out there. Let's do it.
Yeah. I am of that mindset that it's open. It's an open book for me and guys like you, and we should go for it. For as long as we can.
I came up with an idea a long time ago, and I really think we should consider this. I think 8 to 10 of us in the indie community that have solid books need to get together and do some sort of universal crossover with our characters. Just one big thing, and put it out there.
Yeah,
I'm serious.
I actually mentioned it I think in my first campaign, I was getting delirious, and I said in a post for my group, my team, I was like, we should just get 100 creators and do the biggest crossover ever, and go like, can I do that? Go like that to the big guys, and say, this is what we can do,
right?
And it doesn't have to be like you write a whole story. It could be as simple as, I have a couple panels where tragedy comes through a wormhole through the Vampires of New Jersey world and interacts with a character quickly, and then maybe they both jump into that wormhole. Right. It could be that simple, but you could do it with 100 characters to say, hey, these are 100 great comics, independent people. Check these out. We can do it too.
I agree.
And it's something that Marvel and DC would have done in the 60s and 70s. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
or even the 80s.
You and I are eye to eye on what's going on right now with that, and I guess it's really just beating a dead horse because they're not listening and they don't give a shit.
No,
so the best thing to do, hey Joe Ryan, the best thing to do is, this is always my motto: if they don't know who you are, make them know who you are, and that's what we have to do. Let's make people know we're here. Let's make them know there's an alternative. There are quality stories and art out there. But you just got to be willing to take a risk on us.
Yeah.
Take a chance. What is $8 to $10 going to do you? If you smoke cigarettes, you've burned more than that away. If you drink, you've burned more. Your liver is failing. You've burned more than that away. Yeah. If Russell, with all that whole porn collection, my God, how much can you actually have? Enough with the magazines, Russell. Put them away. How much money are you spending on that? You know what I mean?
Lordy,
what's that?
I said, Lordy.
For the love of God, people spend money on these subscriptions to magazines that they don't even read. They throw on a table. Just buy the damn book and give it a try. Yeah, there are people that are trying to do indie distributor companies. It's just not easy. I forget his name, but the guy that the show we did, he's doing Liberty.
Yeah. He's got a substantial amount of stores, but it's not easy. Every store is like a little picky, and they're all weaned to Diamond, and that's just the way they if they had their preference, they would like things the way Diamond was 5 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
But
you got to remember too, distribution isn't enough. If we are put in all the stores, that's great. That doesn't mean anybody's gonna buy it. It's kind of like I can post, but and 400 people can like my post, but how many of those people actually read the post or are actually going to buy whatever it is I'm selling? So there's got to be some sort of marketing campaign that goes along with that. And I've always thought, and I think Joe Tolliver, what he's about to do is brilliant. But if we could do an indie previews magazine, if we all chipped in and did an indie previews magazine and we just handed it out for free to every comic shop, that could help. Yeah. Joe, I don't know if you've thought about that, Joe, if it's part of your channel and everything. What if we all chipped in? I mean, if hundreds of us chipped in for a previews magazine, would it be 20 cents each of us?
Yeah.
You make a previews magazine with all our books in there, and you just say, here, take these, hand them out with your books every week on Wednesdays. Every Wednesday they get a delivery. Get that to Diamond. Let Diamond distribute that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's ways of doing things. I mean, I've had the stores literally say to me, you know, they look at my book, they're like, you're selling out, you're up to issue 7. You should just be being distributed. Just call Diamond, you know. And I have called Diamond and I haven't heard anything. So,
yeah.
You know, but the most interesting thing about what I've done is it's all feedback from customers and from the stores. It almost all, and now that I'm doing Kickstarter from them, and I react because I'm a small proprietor. I can turn on a dime. I can react to what they're asking for. You know, I'm not a giant corporation, but all of it. I mean, I did cons. People took the book home. They called me and said, "Could you put it in my local store?" That's the only reason I approached local stores. Then I went to local stores, and then they're like, "Wow, you have a lot of issues. Do a graphic novel because that'll allow people to get into it quicker." So then I did the graphic novel. I mean, it's all feedback telling me, do this and it will sell.
Sure.
We want this to sell. I will sell your graphic novel for you if you make one, you know. So
here's the other thing I'm going to say, and I don't mean this in a bitter or angry way. I'm just being straightforward and honest.
Right.
There are some people that are going to complain that you post too much, or you tag too much, or you share too much. You know what? Tough shit. You're not getting me out there. Yeah. Okay? I'm busting my ass grinding, and I'm just trying to market myself and get out there, and there's nothing wrong with that. So if you're a creator, don't you ever feel bad about posting 6 times a day or trying to get into groups. I mean, there are certain etiquette things that you should be aware of course.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, don't go up to strangers. And first of all, I never DM anybody any of my shit. Even if you're a good friend, you don't do that.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Somebody did that on Kickstarter yesterday.
What's that?
Somebody did that as a, message through my Kickstarter. And I was like, that's just weird.
It is, especially when you don't know them.
It has nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? I'm like, or what I'm working on. You know, you could have said like, oh, I like your Kickstarter. Could you check my stuff out? You know, I didn't say that. They just jammed it in there. I was like, wow, that's just brutal.
I know. Yeah. And look, I'm a little more liberal with tagging than other people are. I'm not really uptight about it. It doesn't bother me because I understand that Facebook is not helping us. What did Joe do? I was not talking about you, Joe. So I don't really get some of the disgruntled people about tagging. It's like, get over yourself. So what? Somebody tagged you, big freaking deal. You look at garbage all day. So if anything, if you think about it, that just puts something in your feed that somebody else is paying attention to and brings attention to your feed. But anyway, again, within the confines of being respectful, don't ever feel guilty about marketing your product because nobody else is doing it for you and they're not living your life. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I'm going to say is, like I've had people say to me, because I got some big mainstream names on my comics, and they were like offended for some reason. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about anybody specifically, nothing that was today or anything like that. And they're like, oh, well, why don't you get indie guys and support indie guys? I'm like, well, first, if you look at my 23 covers, 4 were big names, and everybody else was an indie artist. Okay. Right. Second of all, how do you think I'm getting into other states and comic shops?
Right.
It's a long-term game.
Right.
I'm not looking to. I mean, look, I don't. If I was doing $130,000 like Billy Tucci on a Kickstarter, maybe I'd be content with doing just 4 Kickstarters a year.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing that, and it's not self-sustaining to do $10,000 on an Indiegogo 4 times a year. That's $40,000, of which my overhead is eating up almost all of that, if not all of that. Yeah. So I need to get into stores. I need to get out there. And like you said, Diamond is not listening to me.
Well, they got their own problems, I think, as a corporation. Yep. And, when you're on the possible Titanic, you're trying to figure out how not to hit icebergs. So I think they got their hands full with their own business model, but,
Agreed.
I just want everybody to, at our level, to have fun and be professional and reach out and learn from each other.
Agreed, and be community, which reminds me, I wanted to just say this. Alton and I were on a kind of game show thing where it's like, whose line is it anyway?
Yeah, somebody should have
And
warned me.
yeah, and we were. I'm surprised you weren't warned.
No,
So
well, I think Lisa tried to warn me, but she was like, "Do you want to do this show?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then I had friends over that day. My roommate from college I haven't seen since COVID started. We got our shots and everything. He came over with his daughter, and he was drinking, and we were goofing around. And I got the text, "You got to go on this show. Phil's on the show. You got to." And I was like, "What am I doing again?" So yeah, I totally didn't know what was going on until.
we were competing for a prize of they donate $50 to the campaign of the winning person.
Pitches be crazy.
And it was fun. They give you a scenario. Like we had the first scenario was pitch your book as if you were a landlord trying to get overdue rent from a bum tenant.
Yeah, you destroyed me. Nice work there, Phil.
And then the second one was do it passive aggressively towards the big publishers without naming the big publishers.
Yeah.
And we did that. And then the last one, we went to a sudden death round because Alton won the second one. Yeah. And the sudden death was music. And it was take a Grateful Dead song to pitch your book. And Alton is a guitarist, and he pulled out his guitar and he played, and it was great. So I have to say right now, Alton won. And what did he do with that money? He turned around and he pledged $50 to my campaign on Indiegogo. And anybody who knows me knows that when I speak, it's with the utmost of sincerity. I'm an emotional guy. When I love you with everything I have. When I'm pissed, I'm going to put my foot in your ass. And when you deserve... What's that?
So that's the New York way. That's the New Jersey way, actually.
And when you deserve credit, you're going to get credit. And here I want to just say that that was the classiest, kindest, most communal thing Alton could have done that I didn't even realize he did. Now, he mentioned he was going to do it on the show, and I just took it with a grain of salt because I would never hold him to that, nor would I be upset if he didn't. He does not need to do that, and he did that. And I'm just telling everybody right now, for that alone, back the man's book because he's a class act and he gives a shit about the other people in his community, unlike some people. There were jealous people out there that they're competing with you on some weird level instead of helping each other build up. Alton is one of the good ones who wants to build together. He wants us all to succeed. For him to do that floored me. It really floored me.
Well, you do great work. You're a passionate guy, and I respect you. And I love what you do. And like I said, when we went on, I was like, yeah, I need somebody I can hate to do this because I like Phil and I like his attitude and what he does. So it was tough going against you, but it seemed natural to me, since I like your tragedy and your work to just, support you some more, So.
Well, I honestly say thank you. It was very kind. It was extremely classy. And it's a testament to who you are as a person. And I just felt everybody should know that because you can have a little bit of this stoic, straightforward demeanor. Like you laugh and smile, but you're like you come across serious sometimes, and you're not. You're a funny guy. You're a cool dude, and you care. You care about what people are doing and how they're growing, and sharing what you've learned and imparting. And I just want to say you have my utmost respect and gratitude and appreciation as well. And I love what you're doing. And to me, you are one of those examples that people should be following in this indie community personally. There are some people that have stature that are being followed, and I don't think they're the right people to follow. You are one of those people that need to be paid attention to. So I did just want to say thank you for that.
Well, thank you, Phil. I mean, we're all in this together. I keep saying we all rise together, and we all learn from each other, and there's plenty to learn, and it changes as we go. Even like what we're going through with Facebook right now, I have a team, I have Heather and Lisa, and they're posting, you're posting, I'm posting, and nobody's seeing these posts.
The same people.
Yeah. My buddy, Bob Heron, had a little not an instant, but he was blowing off steam the other day, and he took a picture of what his post was looking like to other people, and Facebook wasn't showing half of it. So it's all kinds of weird stuff going on like that. And of course, the stuff with Kara, how they blacklisted her every time it's it's unnecessary. We're only small business owners trying to reach people, and if you're not going to share our posts, just say, we're not going to share your post. You got to pay to get it, and then make your algorithm sharp enough that we actually get something out of that.
But you're not. You're getting less. They're making you pay more for less. And this is what I want to know. There's no tracking or quantifying what they're doing. No. They say you reached 17,000 people.
Right.
But you know what? I see the same ad 4 or 5 times. Are you counting me 4 or 5 times?
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah, it's scamish, but we'll overcome it because we'll figure out ways to make it through the system and reach people. And like I said, once you do a successful Kickstarter, which you've done, and then you're Indiegogo, you're building that base. Now you have to work on keeping that base satisfied and growing from that base, and it'll happen. It just, I pointed out, me and Jim Noble, we were talking because I work with him on Vampires, I think 6. We did a crossover between my characters and his, and then he did a Kickstarter right after that, and it hit like 20,000 or something, or 25. And
He's
was
been
like,
killing it with $30,000
yeah, he was like,
campaign.
I don't know, I don't know what happened. He goes, my first one was this amount, my second was this amount, and then it just like exploded. And he's built on what he's doing every single time. And it takes a while, but if you do the work, it'll come back to you. It's just a matter of time.
Now, here's another thing I want to bring up before we get going. PDFs, some people look at it like the PDFs, you're not making much money off of, blah, blah. And some people say, yeah, but there's no overhead on either.
Oh, yeah.
Here's one issue I'm finding with PDFs.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't read them. They get them and they pay for them. They get them emailed to them, and they don't read the book. And I think a lot of those people are the ones not coming back.
Right. That makes sense.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, a PDF is like the least you can get out of a Kickstarter. I mean, it's, like I've done that too. And I've looked at the PDF. I haven't gone into detail. Comics are it's a tactile pleasure thing. I mean, you like the smell of the paper and the touch and the feel, So people prefer that, I think. And it stays in your memory more when you actually order the book. So when I back people, I do try and get an actual book out of it.
Right.
But yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I don't feel that they read those. I know when I sell a book in person, I usually hear from the person something about the plot or something, oh, this was really great. I get less of that when I sell PDFs.
Right.
That tells me that, there's less of a connection. It's looser. I appreciate them buying the PDFs, and once somebody gets something in mind, I want them to read it and enjoy it. But yeah, I get less and less feedback on PDFs than anything else I do. So yeah, I think you're right.
And that's the tough thing, because you think, PDF, it gets out there quicker, it gets out there more, and it would spread like a wildfire. But if they're not reading it, it doesn't. Or it gets lost in their spam folder and they don't even know that they got it. And because they backed 15 Kickstarters, they forgot about yours.
Yeah. I actually did have a guy tell me that. I mean, I guess my first Kickstarter was probably May or April last year, right after COVID hit. And I had a guy contact me in the middle of Bunny, and he's just like, dude, I totally forgot. Did you send me those comics? I do like so many Kickstarters. And I'm like, you didn't even notice that? And I looked and I saw that I printed the shipping label, but then I'm like, did I drop it in the mail? So I just resent them the stuff. I was just like, you got to promise me if I'm going to get you this, you're going to actually read it and enjoy it. You know what I mean? Because that's more important to me than any of it.
I have two people. It's all about boxed up and ready to go, but they never filled out their survey and gave me their addresses.
That's the other thing. Yeah, I have two.
I emailed them.
I have two sitting right here too.
Yeah, I've emailed them 5 times.
I know.
And they're not getting back to me.
What I did was, I tell them I'll send you whatever you want, and I send them the PDF. I just email it to them and hope to try and get their attention.
Yeah, I mean, they're not answering. I'm telling them.
People,
I mean, I already sent.
And they do.
I sent them the PDF.
Yeah, but it's like a Kickstarter lifestyle. They do so many, they just lose count of what they're doing. And
I know.
it's hard, but yeah, we're
And I know
trying.
what's going to happen. I'm going to unbox those, sell those books, and then they're going to reach out and go, "Hey, where's my book?"
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You can bet on that. If you think it's going to happen with this stuff, it usually does. It takes a while, but it'll come back to bite you in the ass a little bit.
Always does.
Yeah.
So look, it's always good talking with you, but I just real quick, let's show this again. This is the Kickstarter right now. I'm going to refresh this just so you can see the main screen here. Give us again. Tell me, Alton, why do they want to back this book?
If you like, well, the elevator pitch is it's like Buffy meets The Craft with some Evil Dead thrown in. So if any of those are your favorite type of genre, you'll enjoy this book. The artwork is, to me, fantastic. The covers for this Kickstarter are amazing. Every artist has their own little spin on it. So regardless of what your, type is that you find your favorite, you can probably find it here. And stretch goals are cool. I mean, it's just, I try and do a complete cool package. So
you got one backer at least out of this.
Yeah. Yeah. We're popped a little bit. I'm not, to me, it's like, once you hit funded and a certain number, then that's all good. At this point, I'm just thinking, finish up, print it, and ship it as fast.
And that's the thing is, after a month of just getting through all this, and in the final days, you're like, all right, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. I'm just thinking about fulfillment now.
Yeah, I like to get to it, but with each one, I get less anxious because I'm getting a real, rhythm of how to do things. I talked to Wendy about it, and she's like, I commandeer this one room, and my family and I, it's like a war room, and you know what I mean. You get real organized with how you're doing things, so it's fun. You're right. I mean, I know you said fulfillment was fun for you, and once I get in that rhythm, I enjoy it a lot. It's just
my wife and I did it, and then my 9 and 7-year-old helped out. It was just fun. They would my 9 and 7-year-old were taping up the bags and boards and handing us the issues that we needed, and Steph and I were just cranking it out, and we fulfilled in 2 days.
Yeah. I saw you when I was like, wow, it's like a machine over there. That's good.
I don't sleep and I don't play.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, and you were absolutely right when you said this, and you do the same thing. Consistency is the most important parts of success in Kickstarter, and that is fulfillment. Nobody wants to wait for you to be finishing the book for 3 months after you had your campaign, and I'm seeing that go on with some people, and they're nice people and they're honest people, and they are going to deliver, but they have no idea the damage they're doing to themselves for the second campaign.
Yeah, it's kind of nutty. I mean, I know I became friends with December Lace, and she's been complaining about one of these comics. I backed it because the artwork just looked incredible, and nobody's gotten anything yet. And it's been a long time. And like she reminded me, and I turned into one of those people who forgot. I was like, oh, damn, I backed that. Yeah, she's right. You know what I mean? So yeah, you do damage to your credibility and your brand by not doing what you say you're going to do. So I was just talking to my wife about that. When I met her, I probably did something, we've been married 23 years, I guess. But I was probably goofy, because we're men and we're goofy. And I did something and then I didn't, follow up on it. And she said, you always have to be a man of your word. If you say it, you got to do it. If you say you're going to do it, do it.
Damn right.
People will always respect you for that. So
they can strip you of everything you have. The only things they can't take from you are your integrity and your word, and they both tie together. That's it.
Yeah. So that's, that's the key to at least getting on the road to success. The rest is, up to you. It's sweat and hard work and do your best and pray and whatever else you need to do.
Pray hard.
Yeah. Sometimes you do. When you're waiting for that shipping to come in and it's not coming in and you want to get it out, you say, I just have to give it up to somebody. But, it all works out in the end if you put your shoulder to the wheel.
And I just want to remind everybody, currently just under 2 days left, Witches of Westchester, which is the first issue of this specific series. It's all part of the world that Alton has built. You've got Vampires of New Jersey 1 through 7, Werewolves of Brooklyn #1. You've got Blackjack 1 through 3. Really getting great reviews. People are loving these books. They're going off the shelves in comic stores. Kickstarters just keep growing and growing. get on board. And I know this sounds like a sales pitch, but it's truthful. How do you know Alton isn't the next Todd McFarlane and you didn't jump on board when you had the chance? You don't know. What if your book blows up so freaking big that you can't get a #1 anymore and people regret, like, shit, last year I could have got that on the freaking Indiegogo or Kickstarter?
Yeah, that's true.
You never know, man.
I should be so lucky. Same with you with tragedy. I mean, that's good stuff. What I like about what you do and what a lot of the independent people do is, you know, I look at your book and I'm like, yeah, I would like to see that as a TV show. Yeah, I would like to see that as a movie. Yeah, I would like to see that as a trilogy of film, you know. So I like that aspect of what everybody's doing, you know, and that's what I try and swing for the fences with, you know. This would make it cool, whatever, you know.
You know what's killing me, though?
Hmm?
I know what these 17 issues I wrote entail, and I think people are going to have fun with this.
Yeah.
But it's so long to get each one out. It's like, I just want to get it out there and show everybody already.
Yeah, it's very weird, because even when I wrote the first vampires, I wrote the first 3, and I was like, what if I never get to the the really good stuff is going to happen?
Right.
What if people what if I didn't give them enough to keep them, you know, hooked? So yeah, it's a real balancing act when you write ahead like you're doing. I mean, when I heard the issues you'd written, I was like, damn, I want to see that. I know Phil's got something up his sleeve, you know.
I can write an issue in sit down in 8 hours, write the issue out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know if I'm a good writer, great writer, or shitty writer, but
you're in your element, you know, you feel it and it just comes. It's like, this is like riding a bike for me, you know, like a fisherman.
And it helps me with the dialogue and get into the mindset of the characters when I'm not taking breaks, you know?
Right. When you can just go straight. That's why I try and clear everything when I write and just keep going, because once you get in that rhythm, it's fun. And
that's why I've stopped at 17. Otherwise, I probably would have been at 40 by now at the pace I was going. But because I'm working and doing everything else, I don't like sitting down for 2 hours, writing a little bit and leaving. I feel like I was just getting into my groove and now I'm dropping, you know, I don't know. It just feels awkward.
You'll be okay. I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, Blackjack, I wrote 5 issues all at once and I'm only up to issue 3 now. And it's frustrating, but you know, we're indie people and we're not Marvel and DC and Image. We can't crank it out like we want to, but the writing is there and it's consistent and you have your story path. So that's good. And that's great, you know, as far as what you're going to do next and knowing what you're going to do. There's a real confidence.
Yeah, I know what's going on up to issue 30.
Yeah. There's a real confidence with that. And that's a selling feature. You know, you can tell people, hey, you love this issue, wait till you see what's coming. I mean, that's great. I mean, that's right up there with Stan Lee. You know what I mean?
Well, he was a great marketer.
Yeah.
Joe Ryan says, I'm passionate about my story. It's been my dream to create this story since my senior year at Joe Kubert School, and now I'm not stopping until I finish this thing. Do it, Joe.
That's the way to
do it. No matter what. Do it.
Yeah. Get it done.
Get her done.
You'll be happy you did it. You know.
And
get it out of you.
I'm going to tell you now, there's nothing on on a superficial level, I will say, because family and everything is the best. But there's nothing better than when your comics arrive in the mail and you rip that book open. The box open and you hold it in your dude. We finally got to stop and go in the pool in the backyard over the summer, and the books were supposed to come on a Monday. My books, you know, the print run, and my mother comes and she goes, "There's a bunch of boxes at the end of the driveway." What? You never saw a fat man fly out of a place so freaking fast in your life? I was like, Nate, jumping out of that bad boy.
Christmas 1982.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And I wasn't even pissed that they were at the end of the driveway because the bastard didn't even bring them up to the door. And it was starting to drizzle. We're like, quick, get them in. And my wife, we're both so going, but she was just awesome grabbing them. We pulled them in. And I'm like, I don't give a crap what you all have planned for the rest of the day. I'm in. I ripped them open. I inventoried. I counted them. I did everything. Checked them out. Checked the print. I looked at it. I cried. I'm not lying. I cried. And then I read that son of a gun. And I go, maybe I'm not bad.
Yeah. It's a magical thing seeing everything you've thought of and dreamed of coming to fruition like that right in front of your eyes. It really is. It's a great feeling. I hope that feeling, no matter what type of artist or whatever people do in their regular lives, that they have that feeling at least once, because it's incredible, you know. I've been
I
lucky enough
agree.
to have it with films in the actual theaters. When I was doing 48-hour film festival, my movies were shown at the Ritz. I mean, and having that feedback and getting that rush, there's nothing like it. But yeah, comics is just totally different because that's like, this is a thing that's going to be around, forever now. You know
You're
what I mean?
immortalized in that comic,
Yeah.
no matter how successful it is or not. You're immortalized. That's it. It's there.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. So
Can't take it from you.
congratulations. Yeah. Thank you for doing Tragedy. It's good stuff.
Well, I appreciate it, but I look forward to being able to get to your success in Kickstarter and 7 issues of vampires and the issue of werewolves, and you're doing this whole world, man. And I have this whole idea for world building, but I want to focus on Tragedy a little bit first. But
Yeah, you'll get to it.
yeah, but I'm
do it organically. The way I did it was just like, oh, this would be an interesting to introduce this character. Then people were like, wow, that character is interesting. I'd like to know more about it. And it became what it became. Just do
and
it
I think that's the thing too. Is I was telling everybody with writing, 2 things for me that I felt were big elements of writing, and you tell me if you agree, disagree, or how it's applied to your books.
Mhm.
Villains never seem to carry any real weight anymore. They always get defeated, like Skeletor or whatever, and that makes the hero just lesser to me. That's why we loved Empire Strikes Back. The heroes got their asses handed to them. The whole movie was them getting their asses handed to them, and it ended with them getting their asses handed to them and licking their wounds. That's what makes a great hero, because you have to be tested. You have to get slammed down to the canvas to know that you can get up again. And that's what people root for. And that's what I like to write, because otherwise it's like you're a joke.
Right. I agree. I mean, the drama, there's no tension if the villain is not villainy enough.
Right.
If you go into it thinking, I mean, James Bond movies, you pretty much know James Bond's going to survive. You're right. But you want to at least feel like something horrible could happen to the hero, that this might not work out. And, some lesser shows where the IP isn't so valuable, they'll kill off people and destroy things, and that adds a lot of stress and tension to what you're watching, but yeah, I agree. I mean, you need a big bad that's really big and bad that raises the stakes to what the hero has to do to survive, and that hero might accomplish their goal and might not make it through.
Well, you read my issue, right? So so by the way,
Thanks,
if you want an edgy cover, Len Danovich has a really dark, edgy tone to his art.
Oh, cool.
And he could probably do something kick-ass for one of your books.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Check out his work. Check out what he does.
Well,
look at the cover that he's doing for me, that he did for me for Tragedy, because he can really embrace like a darker, grittier style. So.
Cool. I like that aesthetic.
Yeah, I think so.
Villains need to be of consequence. I agree with the villain thing.
And the other thing with writing is, let me ask you your opinion on this. I know we're supposed to go 20 minutes ago, but I'm enjoying talking with you.
Go ahead.
I've had some people critique my book saying, like, you didn't get enough answers, blah, blah, blah. And that always drives me nuts, because it's issue 1. What do you want? Everything in issue 1? I mean, nobody has patience anymore to watch a story unfold and get to know the characters and go with them.
No.
What are your thoughts on that with character development?
That's what I was saying earlier about that first issue. How much do you give them and how much do you hold back? I mean, obviously you want to tell a much greater story. So, but you want them to kind of be satisfied. So it's a real weird, balancing act that, will they get it if you don't tell them everything? But we've been trained through media. I mean, if you look at a trailer for a movie from the 70s, they didn't tell you anything hardly. I mean, what The Shining was just like, I remember I was in the theater when that first Shining trailer came out. Oh,
Kid rides a bike, sees 2 twins.
Yeah, it was, well, no, it was the elevator and blood. It was a teaser.
Oh, right.
That's all it was. I think Batman was different. It showed more scenes.
Ghostbusters. It just showed the emblem, and that was it.
Right. So, but today we've been trained to, the trailer tells you almost the whole story. They give you too much. And then when you see the movie, you go, oh, that's it. I mean, people are kind of trained that way now. So, but yeah, you need to hold back enough to intrigue them.
Right.
You know,
but give them enough not to bore them.
Right.
Good night, Russell. Get your beauty sleep because you're one ugly mother. I mean, anyway, have a great night.
I'll see you, Russ. Yeah, it's hard to do today more than ever because the internet tells people everything. I mean, I give it up to Marvel that they're kind of keeping the lid on what is it, the next Spider-Man movie, even though we feel the thing I think Marvel does good is they make you feel like you know everything from the trailer. And then when you get in the movie, there's more to it. Right. And that's hard to do. You know, to give people so much in the trailer that they feel like, oh, I got to see this. But then you get in the movie, you're like, well, that's just a little teeny, part of the entire thing. It's very hard to do, especially today, because everything leaks out and people talk or whatever. So yeah, doing a comic is tough. I mean, just tell them, wait, wait till you see what's coming. That's basically the feeling I try and leave people with.
Yeah, man, and I'm excited to see where you go from here and how everything ties in. And when you finally get to that big crossover in your world, you're building something great here. You're building something special. You're taking a nice, different take on classic tropes, and that's the thing people have to understand. It's very hard to come up with an all new trope. That's not necessary. What's necessary is coming up with a fresh take on a trope. Or writing characters in a fresh way, or a relatable way.
Yeah, that's what everybody should try to do because we can't reinvent the wheel. I mean, a lot of it's been done already. So try and come up with your own take on it. And
to be honest with you, it's like every story has been taken from the Bible anyway. We're not even here to talk about if you believe in the Bible or not. The fact is, every tale that was told in the Bible has been put out into something.
Right.
Star Wars included. So. Like you said, it's not about reinventing the wheel. It's about giving you a smooth ride on that wheel.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
cool.
But I recommend that to everybody. Just do your version of it. I always use the analogy that the Beatles were a cover band before they wrote songs, and they covered the Isley Brothers and Chuck Berry, but they didn't sound like the Isley Brothers and Chuck Berry with Twist and Shout and. They did their British version of our, R&B or rock and roll, and it came out their way, and people loved it. So that's what you should be trying to do. Take what's done before and make it your own with your own spin on it. And, you'd be surprised, sometimes. I mean, I'm very surprised when people walk by me at a con and I see their lips going, Buyers in New Jersey. That's, they feel like it's familiar to them already, So, but you got to work at it. I mean, I work on ideas for like a year before I actually do them because I'm looking around to see if anybody did them first.
You also have good taglines though, like when you say Sopranos versus vampires kind of thing, because you do have to get people to relate to the property on some level by using a property that's already existing in that sense.
Yeah. I mean, that's from Hollywood. I actually did go out to the American film market and pitch my films to some studios, not the top guys, of course, but the lower studios. And that was important to be able to that quick pitch to get people to understand what you're saying in a quick fashion. And being able to say that in a short pitch when somebody comes to your table at a con helps them out. And then they go, oh, yeah. And they go, oh,
you got 10 seconds to hook somebody.
They might like it. They might hate it, but they understand it very quickly. And then whether or not you're getting somewhere with them.
Right. And like you said, that you got 10 seconds to hook them or not.
Yeah.
10 seconds, you got their attention. 10 seconds.
So that type of pitch with each thing allows people to either connect with it or no, it's not for them, which is good for you either way. I always feel with sales, I like to get to a no if it's a no. I don't like the hemming and hawing. You know what I mean? If it's a no, that's fine. I'll move on to a yes. So that allows you to weed out things.
Agreed. You're wasting time on him and a haw.
Yeah. Get to the point. Well, we're East Coast, so that's the way we are.
Hey, just tell me what you got on your mind, okay? I don't have any time for this crap.
Right.
Russell said, go back, Alton. You won't be sorry. You won't. You're backing a good human being. You're backing a solid, really talented creator. You're backing a creative team. Keep that in mind, guys. When you back people like Alton, you're also providing employment for artists and creators.
Yeah.
You're getting artists jobs.
Yeah, it takes a team. I can't do this alone. And I've been lucky. Like I said, people that work with me, I appreciate their work, and I let them throw their, spin on things. So they got to have fun doing it too. It can't just be Alton's Vampires in New Jersey. It's the team, So.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Well, Alton, thanks for coming on. Thank you
Anytime.
for, what you did for me. And, obviously you're welcome anytime you want on the show. We look forward to getting Witches of Westchester fulfilled and in our hands. And I'm wishing you much success, man. All the success in the world, health, happiness, and success.
Same to you. You feeling okay? You been doing all right?
Yeah, knee hurts, but I'll live.
Okay.
It's still attached.
Hang in there. We need you around here, Phil.
Right? Yeah, I might hobble, but I'm good. Maybe Steph will give me a piggyback ride. I did lose some weight from COVID, so
there we go.
It's been a hell of a year, boy. Woo!
Yeah, it's endless. Did you see my interview with the witch that I did?
No.
I'll send you a link.
Yeah, send it to me. She's
an actual witch practicing, and she's a necromancer, which means she talks to people who passed away.
Yeah.
And I mentioned my dad, and she told me things about my dad in the middle of the interview that nobody knew.
No kidding.
That I never said to anybody. He passed away about 4 months ago.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, he had a long illness, but the message that she gave me from him was, he's in a better place. And then she started mentioning things that he actually went through that nobody knew. So it's a great interview.
Wow.
Yeah.
Send me that link.
Freak me out a little bit, But she was nice not to tell me too much, because it would have thrown me off the interview. But she did tell me, you'll see it in the interview. She says a few things that directly I know came from my dad, because nobody, like I had my wife and my uncle knew those things. And we didn't even talk, when somebody passes, it's powerful. We didn't even talk about those things, but she knew them. So it was,
wow.
It's really a good interview. I'll send you the link.
Yeah, please do. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
But on a happy tip, she's a positive person, and she just wants to make the world a better place. And I think that's something we all should try and do. So I'll let you go. I want you to get some rest. All right.
Look, thanks for coming on. Always good talking to you, my friend. Look forward to seeing you on the next campaign. Guys, 48 hours left, Witches of Westchester. Let's go. 46 hours, 47, somewhere around here. Hey, Jim O'Reilly, you're late. Jim O'Reilly, another artist you should hire if you get the chance. Okay. Really talented.
I'll take a list from you. We'll talk names.
Yeah, man, I can give you a bunch of guys.
Good.
And gals.
Good.
All right, Alton, have a great night. Thanks again, man. It was great talking to you. I had a lot of fun.
Always a pleasure, man. Take care.
You too.
See you, everybody.
All right, everybody. Witches of Westchester. It is on Kickstarter. We have, I'll tell you exactly right now. Except, what does it do with this? There's 46 hours to go. We got a couple of backers. You're at 15,999, my friend, with 289 backers. We got a few backers there. Good. It always feels good to know that I did something right. I'm helping. Otherwise, I'm wasting his time. But it was a fun conversation. I'm glad he got some more pledges. He really is a good guy. I have a great deal of respect for him as a human being, as a person, as a creator. He's got 46 hours to go. Let's really give him a good hard push on his campaign, because there's a lot of work that goes into this. And you might think he's just the writer, the artists do all the work. Here's the reality. He's the director. He's the writer. He's the storyboarder in a way, because when he writes a script, we're telling the artists what the vision is. We're building worlds here. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's it's equal across the board that everybody's working hard. Back this campaign, help Alton out, support artists, support inkers, support colorists, support letterers, support the people that put the damn Kickstarter page together. Do it. Okay? So thanks for coming out as always. I appreciate you guys' support. Just real quick, and we're going to go. I was supposed to do a free giveaway today. We never got to it because we're just really into a good conversation. I'll look to do that next time. Tragedy 2 is on the way, but right now it's in demand on Indiegogo still. If you want to get it there, you can also reach out to me. If you're an international buyer, reach out to me personally. I will make it worth your while to pay that stupid ass shipping. I'm telling you. Reach out to me. I'll make it worth your while. I just want you to get the book, and I want you to enjoy it, even if you just want the PDF, okay? All right. Anyway, what do I always leave with you guys? Be legendary and have fun storming the castle.